Hey, this is Chef J.J. Johnson, and I'm here to tell my story.
Hi, my name is Marcela Johnson. I'm Chef JJ's mother.
I'm Chef J.J. Johnson. I'm chef and founder of a restaurant called Field Trip, and I'm Marcela Johnson's son. So what are you excited about the next part of your career? You're 69, about to be 70. What you excited about in your 70s?
Well, I put it this way. I would love to travel more. Remember, we used to travel before
You
Joe
travel
and
a lot,
I.
yeah.
But then when Joe had the stroke, you know, it was kind of hard to do that. So I wish that I could.
Just push him on the plane.
I wish that I could. I wish that I could travel more. That's my goal there. I wish that I could do that. And something else that I want to.
So where are you going to go for your 70th? Where are you trying to go?
I haven't even thought about that yet. I'm taking a step at a time, step at a time.
You got a whole year. Come on, you got to be 70. You got to invite your friends.
I got to
make sure they got their passports.
I got to plan all that.
They got to save their money.
Right. And I also want to start reading more.
Oh, reading.
Reading more. Get some books and do more reading and do some crossword puzzles and things of that nature.
So you're giving up solitaire for crossword puzzles?
No, I still do solitaire. I still play my lotto.
You still play your lotto?
I still play my lotto.
Have you hit?
No, I wish I could. I wish I could. But something else I want to say that I think is great, and you know, I wish when people start to, you have a good following, but I'm just saying this also too. It's important. One thing I have to say about you, and this is great. I wish I was like that back then at your age, because I was never like that. When you set your mind to doing something, you're going to do it. And even if you have a hard time to do it, you're not going to give up. You're going to keep trying and trying and trying to get to that point. And I look at what you just did 3 weeks ago. You had the cookout. Now remember, the years before.
That was 3 years ago?
No, I'm talking about wasn't it 3 weeks ago? The cookout? Or was it 2 weeks ago?
Every day is the same to me. When you're an entrepreneur, every day is the same.
Well, anyway, so when you had the cookout, I said to myself, I said my prayers for you, and I said, I hope this works out for Joseph because you did this on your own. Things that you did before, you had a lot of people to help you out with, but this time you did it on your own. And I'm going to tell you, you did a HELL job. And I'm very, very proud of you because it wasn't easy. It was not easy to do what you did. And one thing that I have to say also too, your field trip team that you have there, they work their butts off.
You're just saying that because your daughter works at Field Trip.
Joseph.
You're just saying that because Adriana
your
works
team.
there.
Remember
There's a whole team there, yeah. But if Adriana didn't work there, you would be.
No. I give you
them credit too?
I give you props when props is due. When the field trip team worked very, very hard to put that together, and also too, you'll probably say this. Okay, you guys could take care of that. I'm gonna lay back. When you need me, I'll come and I'll help. But I'm just saying, you worked that out, and you did a good job. People are asking me now, when is Joseph having another cookout?
Who's asking you that?
I'm not telling you, but a lot of people's asking, when is Joseph going to have another cookout? So I just felt
I'm coming soon. Join the mailing list.
I felt that was very, very, very good. You did a good job with that there.
You know, when you grow up in a community like in the Poconos in the 90s, where there aren't a lot of black people in that time, different than now, but in that time, you could lose your identity. And you definitely, as your household, you guys were a brightness in black household. You gotta think about all the kids that played basketball in front of your house, and their parents that moved from Newark, New Jersey, or from Philly, or from Harlem or Brooklyn, that they felt safe their kids were safe at your house in a neighborhood that didn't look like us, right? Or a school system that didn't look like us. You know, now the Poconos have definitely changed because of current events, COVID, 9/11, many things that make people move. But your house was a brightness point for black families throughout all of the Poconos. You know, you guys are you all are legends in the Poconos. You know, you could talk to anybody, and you mentioned the Johnson family. The first thing they go is Joe Johnson, like that's the voice, like Dad's voice, or Marcela Johnson, a school teacher. So you all carried a really bright light for black families throughout the Poconos for safe spaces, and I can only imagine what you guys went through, or the conversations you might have had with other families to make sure they felt safe or to make sure they didn't move during those times in the early 90s.
I just felt for us living in the Poconos, I didn't feel not safe. I felt safe. And I felt a lot of the families that I knew, they felt safe also too, so I wouldn't say that. They felt safe. The only difference that I saw And that was back then when I first started teaching. Like you mentioned, it was, you might have had one black or two blacks in the classroom. And I felt then, how are those two children going to feel? How are the teachers going to feel? Because when I first started teaching in the Poconos, at Pocono Mountain, it was just one black, Steve Adams, who was a custodian. And then myself, who was a black teacher, and then Evelyn Casablanca, who was Hispanic. But I still felt, I knew who I was. I felt comfortable. And I want everybody in the classroom to feel comfortable also too. But then later on, as you mentioned also too, you had a lot of families that moved from the city, from New Jersey to come to the Poconos. But something that I'll never forget, I was a mentor to one of the teachers, and he was a male, and he taught kindergarten. He didn't feel comfortable because I guess he felt, this is kindergarten, this is not middle school, this is not high school. And plus he wasn't black. And he didn't feel comfortable because things started to change then. You had more blacks that came in then, and more Hispanics that came in then. And I said to him, remember, if you don't want to be a kindergarten teacher, that's okay. But I said, if you want to go to teach middle school or high school, you could see if you can get a transfer to do that. But always remember, the world is a melting pot. I use the word melting pot. I'm not going to train it. It's a melting pot. So you have to feel comfortable in that melting pot situation. So I don't care if it's black, if it's white, if it's Hispanics, if it's Chinese, if it's this, if it's that. That's the way the world is. So accept that and feel comfortable with that.
He still teach now?
No, he decided he didn't want to teach anymore. He went somewhere else.
After you had that conversation with him?
I did. I was the mentor, but in a nice way. I wanted him to feel comfortable. You have to finish that school year, and you have to treat the students the right way and feel comfortable with that. But I'll say one thing about this. The key, I don't care what anybody says, it's the way you're brought up. It's the way you're brought up. And the way you're brought up. If you're brought up the way my family brought us up, accept everybody. Accept everybody. And if you're not brought up that way, and you're saying, you know,
but that's black grandmas, Caribbean grandmas. They make sure you accept everybody. Like,
but some people
don't worry, baby, it's gonna be all right. You know, I hear that all the time. I hear BB Laura's voice all the time telling me that. Like, don't worry, it's gonna be all right. Don't get so caught up.
Black is beautiful.
Don't get so caught up.
Black is beautiful.
What you got? We grew up in the Poconos. Mm-hmm. There was nowhere to eat.
Well, I wouldn't say it was nowhere to eat. I said there was a lot of places to
Where?
go. You just had to drive to get there. You couldn't walk like here in Brooklyn and Queens and New York. You had to get in the car to drive, you know, because we were from the Poconos. But in our household, you have to remember, and you were there all the time, we were at the kitchen table all the time for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. And that part was very, very, very special, family-oriented. And my mother was an excellent cook. Whatever you asked her to cook, she made. And the smell was there. And right now, just thinking about it right now, I could just taste that food right now because I'm hungry right now. I could eat it. But it was delicious. The food was delicious.
I would have to say that when I do look back on my childhood, there's one thing, I mean, me and you have a lot of beef in the kitchen, but there's one thing that you did keep going was that you always made sure we sat down at the dinner table every night as a family. Even with Dad commuting back and forth to New York City to work, you would make sure it was like me, Adriana, Poppy, you, at every night, even on Saturdays and Sundays. Right. Even when we went to go play basketball tournaments, we came back and sat at the table. Was that because you know, was there a reason behind that as a parent?
I feel the reason for that is because that's the way I was raised. My mother and father always had us sit at the table. And I felt after that, when you and Adriana were born, I followed the trait. And I feel that's the reason why I did that. I don't think it was so much for lunch. We didn't do that for lunch. It was mainly for dinner. And for dinner, it was either at the dining room table.
Down at the table for breakfast too. I'm like, yeah, we're trying to get to school.
Well, I didn't want you to stand. I didn't want you to stand up eating like this. Sit down, eat, and then go.
Stand up and eat. It's time to go.
Well, get up a little earlier, then you'll be all right. Then you'll be fine. You'll be fine with that there. But you know, to answer that question, that food, you could just smell it, and the food was excellent. It was great.
I mean, that food definitely made me become a chef. You know, the way you guys used to gather around the table, you know, BB Iris, Aunt Lisa, you, even Uncle Donald, you know, would be cooking all the time. And the gathering around the table with the 9 or 10 of us, There was always like screaming, yelling, crying, laughter.
Yeah.
It was always great moments, but
was
it
great
always
moments.
brought us together.
Yeah.
The food was always delicious. There was always a food critic at the table.
Right, and that was you, but go ahead.
That was me.
It was Chef JJ all the time, but that was okay.
And but the joy of the kitchen, the joy of the family around food was really great. And I always say that BB Iris injected DNA, food DNA,
Definitely.
into my soul. But I think collectively it was family. Like I think about all the moments of like crab cake battles at Uncle Don and Aunt Lisa's house, burning lasagna on Aunt Lisa's birthday.
Right.
Aunt Karine, Tia Candy, Tia Kong cooking at a young age, or going to Queens to Barbara's house or Aunt Karine's house,
Aunt Karine's house,
for
yes.
cookouts and being there. I don't know if you remember this time. This always sticks in my head. I don't know where we were. Maybe you can help me. We went somewhere. I felt like we were in Long Island. Somebody dug a hole in the ground and put the whole hog, jerked the whole hog and put it in the ground, and then put the dirt back on top. And I remember being there talking to the guy. He was a chef, or he was a family chef.
If I'm not mistaken, I thought that was at Aunt Karine's house in the backyard there.
No, it was in Long Island. It's like in the front of somebody's yard. I felt like it was in Long Island. Somebody that had dirt.
I don't remember that one. Don't remember.
It wasn't at your house because you wasn't letting nobody dig up your yard.
No, they weren't doing that. No, I don't remember that one. No.
I remember. I could still see it. I could see what the guy looked like. He was dark skinned. He had a bald head. They had the whole hog. It was on a rack. I remember Poppy drove that day.
Right.
He drove his Impala.
I don't know. Was it at Auntie Lane's house?
Maybe, I don't know.
Because you just said, I'm just thinking at Auntie Lane's house. Because remember, Sandrine and Auntie Lane, they lived together. I'm just wondering, was it in the backyard? Because a lot of times they would have parties also too in their backyard also
maybe,
too.
Maybe I'm gonna call.
So I'm just thinking that since you just mentioned that, I'm wondering.
I'm gonna call Sandrine after
Call
this.
Sandrine. She's in Aruba right now, but you can call her when she gets back.
But no, I mean, my childhood was rich of food.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
It was.
when I think about like I think about like who we were as a family. It was around a lot. It was around food, and I feel that it was around a lot of food because you guys working really hard. You always made sure there was food on the table.
Okay. What was it like cooking with your grandmother?
Cooking with BB Iris was joyful. It was vibrant. It was fun.
If mommy lived longer than she did, because she left this world too young, if she lived longer, I always used to tell her then, you should open up a restaurant.
Oh, so you telling me she would have been trying to make we would open a restaurant together?
Maybe you both could have done it together. Because
cool.
I just feel that she was an excellent cook, and she can cook whatever she wanted to cook.
She used to cook that I don't know how she used to make that paella on an electric stove back then.
And the sad part about that is,
In a cast iron pan?
yes, and I'm pretty sure you'll agree to this. I wish that I cooked like her. I wish that I liked to cook like her. But
I just wish you would like to cook.
I just said, I wish I wanted to learn to cook like her. But I just feel this way. If she lived longer, like I said, and she opened up a restaurant, she would have done very, very well.
You have one of her dishes, right? You have the rice with the chicken.
Right, I have that. I have that.
Slow stewing in the silver pot.
But I just wish that I was able to do more. And then if you asked her, what were the ingredients? What's the recipe? She would just say, hey, you just do it like this, you do it like that, you do it like that, and that's it. So I don't have any recipes from her.
But do you feel like you didn't cook because they were real big on pushing you on education-wise, like go to college, get your master's degree, get, all that stuff? But yeah, I've always wanted to cook. I think there was a moment in culinary school where I wanted to quit because it was really hard. It wasn't what I expected it to be. It wasn't diverse. It was kind of like all these other things. And I remember you and Dad telling me, like, listen, this was your dream. You wanted to do this. You should stick it out, figure it out. It'll be okay. It'll work itself out. So, but no, I've always wanted to cook. I've always dreamed about cooking. Even today, I still wake up thinking about cooking. I'm eating breakfast. I'm already thinking about lunch.
But something that I have to say is this, and God is good, and I have to say this. When you worked at the Cecil in Mittens, the food there was excellent. And I'm not just saying excellent because you're my son. The food was great. And you were a people person. And I think that really, really did well for you for working at the Cecil and also at Mittens. And then when you met Alexander Smalls, and Alexander Smalls asked you to go to Africa, and you said to me, you're going to go to Africa with Alexander Smalls. I said, well, Joseph, who's Alexander Smalls? Because I didn't know who Alexander Smalls was at the time. And then you said, I'm going. And I said, okay. And then when you came back, I want to say everything just went smoothly for you at that point. And something else I'll never forget, and your father and I talk about this all the time, when you were on Rocco's dinner party. And it's called Rocco's dinner party, am I saying it correctly? And you were having a Rocco's.
You going all you? I'm like trying to follow your timeline.
I'm going back and forth, back and forth. And Rocco's dinner party, you learned a lot there also too, and you were the winner there. And we didn't know that you were the winner, and you were having a party at your apartment, and you invited us to come. And everybody was sitting, and everybody was nervous. Oh my goodness, did Joseph win? Did Joseph not win? Or if he didn't win and everybody's here, that's gonna be so embarrassing. Me as a mother was thinking of those things. And then I said, and then everybody said, no, he probably won. He probably wouldn't have invited us here if he didn't win. I said, we're gonna find out. And when we saw that you won, the only thing, a tear came to my eyes. Everybody, Aunt Jeannie started crying.
Aunt Jeannie was there?
Yeah, Aunt Jeannie started crying. Everybody was just so happy.
Aunt Jeannie's always crying.
She's always crying. But I'm just saying, if you think back and you look at your lifetime of different things that you've done and you accomplished, it's a lot. It's a lot. But like I always say, always remember, be grateful, tell God thank you, always keep God in your prayers, and then always remember this. And I say this all the time. Remember, you could always do well and be here, but you could also fall down here too. So always just think of the best. But one thing I have to say about you is this, it's important. You're a family man. And thank God you met Mia, and thank God you married Mia, and then right after that, thank God grandkids came. You had the twins, Tay and Miles, and that just brought, a lot of joy to us. And I'm pretty sure Tay and Miles, when they see you on TV, on the Cleo show, if they see you...
Well, they always say I'm doing too much. So that's what they told me today. They're like, what are you doing with Abuela today? Why, she's on television now. Abuela's on TV too now?
Right.
What are you doing on TV? Right. But no, Rocco's dinner party was definitely a pivotal point in my career when I worked at Morgan Stanley, because I worked at Morgan Stanley executive dining room. I was trying to figure out how to get back in the private sector. I was trying out for Chopped a lot at that time. That's when Chopped first started coming on the mainstream.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they were never selecting me to be on Chopped. And then one of the producers from Chopped was like, oh, you should try out for Rocco's dinner party. And then I tried out for Rocco's dinner party. I got on the episode. That episode was all about Harlem.
Yes, I remember that, yeah.
And so I started to cook. I was like, oh, what could I cook? So I remember I did like shrimp and grits. What else did I cook on the episode? I did cherry pie. I did all the things from BB Laura, right? All the things that she would cook in her kitchen, right? Because during the part of my life in New York, because remember I did my internship in New York City.
Right.
I spent a lot of time with her in my young adulthood, and I would be in the kitchen with her. So two different grandmothers, two different times. But Rocco's dinner party was great. That's what got me to get with Alexander Smalls and get into the Cecil. But I went to Ghana, and I said I found myself through food, and that's when I was doing research. I don't know if you remember that. I was like, what's food of the African diaspora? Like, I'm looking on the internet, I'm looking everywhere, and you were like, you should pick up an encyclopedia.
Right, and I said that.
And I was like, an encyclopedia? And then I started using the encyclopedia for research to learn more about the food and how it was connected through the Caribbean or the transatlantic slave trade and into the American South.
Right.
And yeah, the Cecil, definitely a big claim to my fame of being at the Cecil with Dick Parsons and Alexander cooking there, and them giving me a shot to run a kitchen.
But something else I want to ask you that I think is very, very important. How do I make you proud?
How do I
make you proud?
Well, I never really thought about that. I've never went through life thinking about ways you make me proud. I mean, it's really interesting, maybe because of Dad. But Dad used to say things like when people will come, and this probably really the old schoolness in him. People were like, yo, man, I want to let you know you're a good dad. He's like, how else am I supposed to be?
Right, right.
Like, that's what I'm supposed to do, right? So I would hear him constantly say that, and maybe in my mind, I just thought like, well, that's what all parents are supposed to do. They're always supposed to be at your basketball games. They're always supposed to champion you. They're always supposed to be that, which was like a little bit of a bubble, especially when I talked to my friends. It was like, oh, honestly, it's just been me and my mom, or just me and my dad, or my parents don't really accept what I do, or, but you've always made me proud. I mean, today you make me proud by, being there for my kids. You make me proud showing up to the restaurants and eating food and telling your friends to make food. I think the moment this year, what I would say that you made me proud, you started calling people to tell them to buy tickets to the cookout, which I'd never seen you do that before. Like, you're not that type of person to like go and be calling people. You became a telemarketer.
Right.
So
I was pretty good.
You did good. Yeah, you were out there.
I did pretty good.
But your whole life, I've always been proud to say that you're my mom, and people that know you from elementary school to culinary school to managers and people that work for me always ask about you. I'm like, oh, how's your mom? High school friends. So I've always been happy to say that you've been my mom, and proud to say that you're my mom. And I think that, when I'm raising my kids, I'm always trying to say like, yo, how can I do better than my mom and my dad did for me, for me. And that's that's something hard to follow.
Thank you.
Maybe proud that you can make some rice make some rice the right way for me.
Here's a question for you, though. Here's a question for you. And I just really want to know the answer to this, because I really never asked you this question. Since I love rice.
Why you struggle?
Wait. No, I don't struggle with rice. I do very good with rice. Since I love rice, the book that you wrote was about rice.
Yeah, the whole thing.
The field trip, rice bowls. So did you do that because I love rice? Just asking, just curious, just asking.
I used to hate rice as a kid.
Oh, I know.
Because it was either like mushy or too hard. I didn't really fall in love with rice until like I went to Ghana and ate jollof rice, and then came back and realized how much I loved rice. And maybe it is because you loved rice. I mean, every meal we had, it always had rice, right?
It's rice.
So, but I do think the reason why I've opened Field Trip is because rice is the greatest connector.
True.
It doesn't matter like where you're from or who you are. Rice is a part of everybody's culture. And that's really why I opened up Field Trip. It was a part of my culture growing up, a part of my culture now on the table. And I always think about the world, like imagine if you eliminated rice, there would be no culture.
Thank you. I say the same thing.
So,
I say the same
But that's why. But if you want me to tell people it's because of you, I can tell people, I can let them know.
I can
tell them it's because of you.
I'm just
Marcela Johnson,
I'm just
rice bowl.
I'm just asking.